This week I got to talk with Andrea M. Butler about her debut speculative fiction novel, Mother. It is the first of a series, and I was burning through it. It is so good. Here's the synopsis. Having gained control of the world's food supply, a single corporation, Sunray, holds the fate of humanity in its hands. When the government passed the Home Act and sent millions of immigrants away, it threw the nation into unprecedented economic crisis. Set in the near future amidst the backdrop of an increasingly volatile climate, Matt and Evie Fisher are struggling to survive. In order to find a way to save their two daughters, Matt and Evie must wrestle with their faith, their past, and a mysterious illness affecting most of the population. When a series of otherworldly dreams sets Evie on a path to find a mystical portal, and Matt finds himself in possession of information that could topple Sunray and the political network behind it, Evie realizes she is being offered a choice that could not only save her daughters, but could alter the fate of humanity forever. I really loved the way that Andrea approached talking about faith and talking about healing and talking about energy, while talking about some of the social issues that we are up against right now and how harmful they can and will be. We had a really great conversation about how matriarchy could change our society so much, and what you do when the faith community that was so important to you at one point no longer feels safe and loving. Really, if you like speculative fiction and you think we should topple the patriarchy, you're going to love this one. So let's hear from Andrea. Well, I am super excited to talk with you about Mother. As I was thinking about it, I was like, that is the full title, right?
Yeah. Mother.
I love it.
Book one.
I mean, it sums it up. It really does sum it up, not to give anything away. But I do always want to get to know like a little bit about you before we dive into the book.
Mhm.
So what was your journey to writing?
Yeah. Growing up, I was an avid reader, and I was always involved in the arts, but I was more involved in performing. And I never really got to spend time writing. Fast forward many, many years. My husband and I, we just love to talk about the world and the future, and he's in politics. And so we talk a lot about what are things going to look like? And we have a lot of kids. And so we're thinking we have 7 combined.
Wow.
Yeah. So six at home still, but
that's a lot.
yeah. So we're constantly thinking about what is their life going to be like? What kind of world are we creating for them? What are we pushing them towards? So we were at the beach a few years ago, and we do this a lot. We come up with stories, and he loves film, so he thinks more in that way. And of course, I love literature, so I'm thinking more writing. And he was like, do you have a piece of paper? Get out something and let's take some notes.
Yeah.
So we spent all day dreaming about, the question really was, if things are going the way we think they're going to go, how is this world going to look for our children when they are adults and have their own families? And what will help us? What will save us? And then, of course, we had to throw in aliens.
I know, why not?
So this was 2 years ago. And I start writing, and it's been a really crazy thing to see that the things that I put on the page, either a few weeks or a few months later, come to fruition in real life.
Right.
And when that started happening, I realized that this wasn't my story. This is our story. And I just said yes to it. But I really think it is, in some ways, a bit of a divine love letter, that we are not alone, that there is hope for all of us. And we are seen and known by powers greater than what is here and ourselves. And that was coming through. And so I just kept plugging along.
Yeah, that's so cool. And you can, the reader or the listeners probably haven't read it necessarily yet, but when you do read it, the like sitting and talking about the future between like the husband and wife, like the second you started saying that, I was like, oh, I already like remember scenes like that in the book. So that's That's really unique that it just, I mean, I know ideas come from everything, but that you guys are just kind of talking
Yeah.
and then it evolved into something that's really cool.
Yeah.
Did you end up like outlining it from there? Like were the ideas just like, were you just like jotting down ideas that you guys kept coming back to, or like how did it develop from there?
Yeah. I really started with the dreams. And in the
Mm-hmm.
book, Evie is communicated to through dreams. And my personal work is in,
Mm-hmm.
I have a very strange career.
I love it.
It is in, I'm an energy worker, started out with Reiki.
Mm.
I'm sure some of your listeners are familiar with
That
Reiki.
was how that was how I learned I was hypermobile, was seeing a massage therapist who did Reiki.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So Reiki is so cool because I think when
Mhm,
you really boil it down, it is just teaching you how to read energy. And that's all that it is.
mm,
Give
mhm,
and receive energy and to read it and to decode it. And so my world sort of exploded maybe 6 or 7 years ago when I really started doing Reiki. And
mhm,
that has grown into a variety of modalities, healing
mhm.
modalities that I use. And I work with clinical therapists. So we have a really interesting
Oh, nice.
thing that we do, and that gave me so much insight into
Mhm,
humans and also our
mhm.
relationship with spirituality and our relationship
Yeah.
with the beyond just in general.
Mm,
And I'm
mhm,
still sort of I mean, obviously I'm growing, I'm learning, um, I'm developing all sorts of new ideas about the universe every day. But
mhm.
one of the things that I thought was sort of cool was that we really do get communicated to in our dreams. And
Yeah.
this is throughout history. People
Mhm,
get divine inspiration in dreams, people get messages in dreams. Um, Old friends or loved ones who have passed visit us in our dreams. So
mhm.
I started with, what would it be like if someone like me, a mom with kids and
Yeah.
who's just struggling every day just to make it work, started getting messages from something
Mhm.
other, something maybe divine, something maybe
Yeah.
extraterrestrial, something that I can't pinpoint, that feels
Mhm.
so real, that are giving me, just a regular person, an opportunity to change this world and to change my family. What would I do?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and so I started there. That's why the prologue is a dream. And
Mhm.
of course, my editor was like, everybody starts their book with a dream.
Mhm.
And I was like,
Not
I don't care.
really, but I know what they meant, he or she.
I don't care. I was like, this is the one piece of advice I'm going to fight you on.
I know, and I've heard some editors are very specific about hating prologues or
Mhm.
being okay with them.
Well, she actually
So weird.
created the idea of the prologue so that I could put the dream in
Oh.
there. So that was our compromise.
Mhm. Oh, that's
Um,
good.
but yes, so I started with the dreams, and then like I said, my husband's in the political sphere.
Mm,
He's
mhm.
also a police officer. We both have
Wow.
extremely interesting and odd work histories and lives that have culminated
Yeah.
really to all the things that are in this book. Um,
Right, yeah.
and
And
so,
you're both in service industries
yes,
too.
yes, and so it really, when I took the dreams and I took sort of the feminine experience of, I mean, not just motherhood, but just being a woman
Yeah.
in this economy and this culture and this world. What is it like?
Mhm.
The pressures that we're under, but also the power that we have. Um,
Right.
that I think a lot of us are really waking up to in a different way.
Yeah.
And then pairing that with the masculine experience. Um,
Mhm.
and really, it is this discussion, I think, of
Mhm.
both, and
Yeah.
how powerful the divine feminine is, how powerful our energy is, and how we're
Mhm.
all sort of seeing that we need more female energy in this
Yes.
in this
Yeah.
world right now.
Matriarchy, please.
Yes, exactly. And so then what is the role of the masculine in that?
Mm.
And I think you can very
Mhm.
clearly see that in the relationship between Matt and Evie, especially at
Yeah.
the end of the book. Um,
Yes.
and so that was a huge thing that we talk about that a lot, just in general. Um,
Yeah.
and so then that was their journey as a couple, is
Mhm.
how can him as the sort of a masculine. In some ways, he's a little bit of a stereotype, but then not.
Yeah, it is not like the total alpha male
Yes,
stereotype.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then how can that energy support Evie on her mission?
Right.
And
Love that.
and so we and I specifically, my favorite part of this was writing the characters. And so he helped me a lot with the action, because
Okay.
I'll get real stuck just writing a long piece about how someone feels. And then
Yeah.
both my editor and him were like, no one's doing anything for 4
Keep
pages.
moving. Yeah. It's kind of that balance. Like, it does have a literary fiction feel to it, but it does. Well, and the crazy thing when I was thinking about it, like sci-fi fantasy which is so crazy, truly, that those are still like lumped together.
Yeah,
Like they typically are, like sometimes you get a genre mashup, but they're pretty distinct.
mm-hmm.
Anyway, even calling it like sci-fi, we're like hearing we might learn about the aliens
Mm-hmm.
here soon. So like at the same time, it's
I know.
almost like how far out, like kind of what you were saying, like you would write it and then things were coming to
I
fruition.
have to tell you the craziest thing, and this, I always come back to this because, and I'm not saying this to be like I have divine information. I'm
No.
saying this because I think we all have access to more information than we think we do, and that we
Mm-hmm.
are really sharing a consciousness in a
Yeah.
large sense.
Yeah.
Um, we, oh well, I wrote there's a portion in it with a big mudslide and a big flood,
Mm-hmm.
and my best friend is from Asheville, and so I was
Oh,
constantly asking her about the city. I'm not from there, but it felt right to
right.
place the story there.
Yeah.
Um, and so she was a wonderful resource for me. And I asked her, like, are there ever floods? She was like, I don't know, not in my lifetime. I think maybe there was right before I was born.
Oh.
It does
Mm-hmm.
sometimes flood in the valley because it's mountains, but she was like, flooding isn't like a huge thing. Okay, so I don't know if you remember the huge flood that happened in the Asheville area, and I think it was Hurricane Helene that maybe came through.
Yeah, was that 2023, I think?
No, it was like 4 or 5.
Okay, it was even
Um,
more recent. Okay, I
yeah,
couldn't remember.
it may have even just been last year. Uh,
You're right.
I need to look that up, but
Time is weird right now.
I wrote the story of the flood in Asheville 2 weeks before it happened. I know.
Wow.
And
That's
and so that to me is not, again, like, that's not to say that I'm special.
right.
That's to say that there are a lot of us right now
Mm-hmm.
that, especially women, who are
Mm-hmm.
being given creative tasks, and we are being given stories, and we're
Mm-hmm.
being given poems and songs and all of these things to help really give this world hope.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of us are being divinely guided in that
Mm.
journey,
Mm-hmm.
because there is so much to feel hopeless about.
Yeah.
So I think that the divine feminine is really being breathed into right now
Yeah.
by each other and by the universe. And so that to me was just a sign to keep going. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's hard to do. It's hard to write a book with 6 kids and a job.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I have none and I haven't completed a book yet.
It's really hard. Well, in some ways, I will say in some ways, because there's pressure and because you're like, okay, I have 4 hours
You
today.
have to
That's it.
fit it
You
in.
have to do it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's almost like a push.
Mm.
But I think that, like, I mean, there were certainly times when I just felt like, ugh, I'm never going to finish this, especially the editing
Yeah.
process.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is my first novel, and so the first draft was, I mean, God bless my editor. She just is wonderful. Um,
Yeah.
and she really was teaching me. I feel like she gave me a college degree in writing
Yeah.
in the editing process, because my degree is not in writing. My degree is in theater, and so
Oh, yeah.
I
Well, it
really,
still helps a
it
little bit.
does help. It helps with the storytelling of the
Yeah.
characters, but not the, like, technicalities of writing.
Right.
So it helped me so much. But there were definitely times that I just thought, I mean, the timeline is just going to be 5 years before I get this thing somewhere. And if it was, that's fine. But those little moments of recognition, or like with ICE right now, you're right about that. Like we created a group that we call it the IHF, but it's the same thing. And so I think that like there were times that I felt too like, oh shoot, all this stuff is happening, and then I'm gonna get the book out and people are gonna be like, oh, she wrote about what's happening right
now. I know.
And whatever. It's fine.
Well, and you kind of did. Like you were just writing about where we were headed, like when you were writing it.
Right. And it's like not that hard to imagine. I mean, 2 years ago, it wasn't hard to imagine that when we got this new president, that we were going to see mass deportations. Like that wasn't a hard thing to guess.
No. So, heavily talked about.
Yes. And so, I mean, that actually was the big question that I was really interested in.
Yeah.
What will happen if we send all of the immigrants away? And
I know.
And so I started doing research of the different industries that would suffer. And, a lot of it obviously is unpredictable.
Yeah.
But it was very, very clear to me, and just a little bit of research that I did, that it was going to cause a lot of instability.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I was listening to NPR yesterday and how they're building all of these new holding facilities.
Yeah.
All over the country. They're taking warehouses and turning them into holding facilities for people that are basically inhumane. And so this is where we're headed. And in some ways, the book, yes, it in some ways it paints a little bit of a bleak picture of where we might end up in 30, 40 years. However, our brains do better with the known than the unknown. Yeah. And so even if it's hard, it's better for us to go, all right, where are we headed? Because then we can plan. Then we can go, how do we get ourselves out of this? How do we support each other through it? So, it's speculative fiction, I suppose.
That's probably, that's the better, I would put it there for sure.
Yes. It's like this book is like a Venn diagram of many different genres. Which, whatever. I think
that's what I enjoy. And I feel like it's getting more popular to have genre mashups too. Yeah. So hopefully it's a good thing.
I mean, the genres existed because of the culture at the time, and the culture is changing all the time. So the genres have to change too.
That's a good point.
And so our art is constantly shifting to reflect us. So
yeah.
I didn't try too hard to try to fit it into any specific thing.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't. I've talked to plenty of people who are like, I don't know what genre it is. I write it, and then like my publicist tells me or my editor tells me. So I think there are a lot of people that don't go into it like super sure of what they're gonna write. Well, you go ahead.
I also think that when you're creating art, or even in my work of spirituality, like I choose to not have a title, and I choose to not have one particular mode, because we're always evolving. And so I never want to pigeonhole myself, because even subconsciously, I'm afraid that will affect the way that I let spirit flow through me. And so with my art, and I think with any art, I think that it's very important that we don't go, I am, and then this. I am a science fiction writer. Okay, well, what if spirit wants to flow, a book of recipes through you?
Yeah, right.
I can't.
I know.
So I don't believe in that. And so I didn't let it affect me in any way. And is it harder to write now? Is it harder to market? Probably. But that's my publisher's job.
Right. In mine, maybe.
Yeah. I'll let you all deal with that mess that I made.
Yes. Yeah, it's insightful. And I do think kind of what you're saying, you're not saying like you're a like divine messiah, but it does mean you can't be attached to energy. And actually I was just yesterday I just interviewed the from your publisher, Keith and then a few of the contributors for quantum theology.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we were just talking about interconnectedness and like how important it is and how you can it seems like you're predicting the future, but it may just be that you're like tuned in and
Yes.
paying attention.
Yes. Yes. And I do think time isn't what we think it is and how we actually experience it. And we're learning about that with
Right.
physics and quantum physics specifically. And so things are more of a circle than a line. And
Yeah.
so a lot of us are perceiving of things or getting information about things that are next to us in the circle, but we experience it linearly.
Yeah.
And so I have this
Definitely.
happen in my like practice all the time with clients and myself and whatever. And I think that there is a bit of an opening up of
Yeah.
understanding.
Yeah.
And that is being supported by science the whole way. What used to be
Yeah.
mysticism is really now provable with data in a variety of ways, and it's happening so quickly, particularly the study of consciousness.
Yes.
And so for me, it isn't, what might have been like, you are chosen. And so you're a prophet. Now it's just like, we're all just regular people and we're
Yes.
receiving information if we're open to it. And we all can receive that information.
Yeah.
And so in our storytelling, sometimes I think we are perceiving of the thing next to us in the circle. And it just looks like it's ahead of us. But
Yeah.
really what it's doing is it's helping ourselves and others prepare for what is to come.
Totally. It kind of explains history repeating itself as well.
Exactly.
What
Yes.
what you're talking about there.
Until the loop closes, it plays
Yes.
over and over again.
Yes, that is. It's just, I've just been trying to learn all the history of truly. I'm trying to slowly learn even outside of the US because there's so much that was restricted.
Yes.
In what we're typically taught in US schools, but the more I learn, the more I'm like, it all repeats. And like, if we could all kind of collectively be aware of that, we could probably stop some of the violence, at least, you would hope.
Yes. We can predict it. And it's really when you're looking under the rug or behind the curtains and you're looking at all the real history, that's a guidebook of what not to do
exactly.
and then what to do.
Yes.
And I think there are many, many of us who are doing that and then reporting it.
Yeah.
We can fix this because we can.
Yeah. And sometimes fiction is an easier way to talk about certain topics. I think, and not everyone wants to even ever read nonfiction. So I think that's why fiction can help so much that way.
Yeah.
So we've talked about, you really liked the character building, and it's very much like a story that does grapple with like faith and like how do you have faith and hope in situations that are really dire. But it is a really full cast of characters, and I do feel like some of the names, if not all, are very biblical. And was that on purpose?
That's interesting. You're the first person to bring that up.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
I was like, Evie's so close to Eve. We have Matt, we have Josh, James. I was like, these are the Bible names.
That's so funny. So most of the names come from my real life.
Oh, wow.
So my daughter's name's Evangeline. And
okay.
And so we don't call her, well, one of her sisters calls her Evie, but it just was an easy name, So you'll also notice that they're all short.
Yes, that's true.
I am not going to be typing a long name multiple.
I love that.
Never.
Yeah.
None of my kids are ever going to have a name that's more than like 5 letters. And so like Lizzie was long enough. That was too.
Yeah.
But they're all names from my friends. We have like a very tight knit group of like friends, our community, and I call it our family. And so our family is what really inspired a lot of the names.
Oh, that's cool.
And not all the characters have anything to do with the corresponding person with that name, which I had to tell everybody. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
there's a character named after your son, and it's not him.
Yeah.
I just like your name.
Yes.
Um,
Well, that's cool. Sometimes that happens. I had that happen with, there's a book called No Road Home, and he named he named something that was so similar to Gomorrah. And it was a place where like people were being like incredibly terrible
yeah,
to each other.
yeah.
And I was like, so did you name it that? Well, it was a televangelist family.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I was like, did you name it that on purpose? He was like, I didn't even realize
That's
that. So
crazy.
apparently I'm just finding stuff everywhere.
No, I mean, I'm sure that's what it is, right? Because
Yeah.
everything has I mean, in my work, everything has an energetic frequency, right? And so
Yeah.
I'm sure that a lot of the names that I picked have to do with what I associate
Right.
with that name.
Right. Or it's even just that your community may have just been influenced by the fact that those are names
Yeah.
too. And
Well,
then
and it's, I guess it probably does give me a little bit of a starting point for the
mm-hmm,
character, um,
mm-hmm,
to give the character a name that already means something to me in some way.
mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit less of a blank canvas.
Yeah.
And I'm not an artist, but there was a period of time where I was painting,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and I couldn't paint on a blank canvas. I couldn't. I
Oh.
had to go find something like a piece of wood or like I
Oh.
just wasn't inspired enough by a
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when I see artists create on a blank canvas, I'm like, how did you do that? So
Yeah.
I think what I do is I borrow. And
Mm.
I like to put things together that already have some grit to them, some stories,
Yeah.
some meaning to them. And maybe that's cheating, but it's how I do it.
Yeah. And I don't think that's cheating. I think however you create art is like however you create your art, basically.
I'm more of a collage artist than
There you go. Or like
I'm not a
mixed
mag
media, maybe.
taking photo.
Yeah. So the story is like we've kind of talked about some of the things. There's some food insecurity. The immigrants are getting deported in mass numbers. And I mean there are many other things. But just what I was kind of saying, it's almost contemporary fiction. Like
Yeah.
it is speculative, but it's almost contemporary.
Yes.
Um so were there reasons you were drawn to talking about those topics, or was it kind of just the conversations that you were having like you mentioned?
Yeah. I think when you think about what really, and this is going to start getting into the second book, but what really drives
Yeah.
people in history, like you were talking about,
Mhm.
to fight for themselves and for each other. And there's pretty much one thing that has caused every revolution, and it is hunger.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and I think, I mean, if you think about being hangry,
Yeah.
that's a legitimate biological mechanism.
Mhm.
And I think that a lot of us we don't get to the point where we're willing to put everything on the line
Mhm.
until there's no food.
Right.
And then we're
Yeah.
different. We're hangry.
Mhm.
And so I was thinking, what would build up to that? How would we get to that point where
Mm.
we are now completely dependent? So there's a scarcity that you're dealing
Mhm.
with, the stress of scarcity already
Yep.
as a society. They were all dependent on one company, one singular
Mhm.
company for food. And so that's not good for your nervous system or your
Mm-mm.
spirit. Because what if something happens? And that's what we saw, right? There's a
Mhm.
huge mudslide. It messes up the production of food in that area.
Mhm.
And so that area realizes how fragile their food system is.
Yeah.
And it's almost impossible with the climate in most parts of the country to grow food, which is why this monopoly came to be, because
Yep.
they created a technology that allowed them to build greenhouses and grow tons and tons of food in
Mm.
the greenhouses, because it was just
Mhm.
all the farms had to basically foreclose. And so I wanted to go ahead and get us 80% of the way to really the people taking action, against this government and this monopoly that is controlling them and keeping them eating out of their hands. And so food insecurity was really important because it's also very, very real, and it's
Yeah.
already happening. And it is happening, it's happening to a broader range of socioeconomic groups than we think it is. I mentioned before that my husband, while he is in politics, he's also a police officer in Durham, North Carolina. And he's, it's again, that's a whole story. But but we see a lot of poverty, and we see a lot of hunger, and we see a lot of food insecurity just around the corner from us.
Oh yeah. Especially since SNAP has been massively defunded.
Yes. So the way the country is moving is to, it seems like, remove a lot of government aid. And I know because I was on government assistance for after a very difficult time in my life many years ago. I had little kids for a while, and I would not have been able to feed my children if it were not for that. And I was working a full-time job.
Right.
So this is not about people not wanting to work. This is about the fact that the wages have stayed the same, and all of the costs have gone up, and the gap between the people with money and us is widening every single day. And we're seeing that evidence of that everywhere. And this is what happens when capitalism goes awry. And if it has, and we are dealing with that, and there doesn't seem to be anybody trying to stop it. And
Doesn't
so
feel like it.
what will happen, right? When we can't buy food anymore, when we, then if the climate gets to a place where we can't grow food anymore, what are we going to do? So, I mean, these are just real life things that I'm seeing in my world right now. And then to think, okay, since we don't have anyone trying to fix this from a systematic level, there are, of course, wonderful people in Durham that are helping people get food. And there are, there's all sorts of things that happen at our kids' schools, and where you can pick up a bag of food on the weekend. But we're not seeing anything from the level to actually stop it. We're just putting a Band-Aid on what now is like a stab wound, and not, we're bleeding out down here. And so where are we going to be? How are our kids going to live? And I think, there were times I thought, am I just being really pessimistic about how things are going to go? But no, because I look back in history, I look back at the times when French Revolution, fall of the Roman Empire. There were many, many other times when the powerful became so detached and so powerful and held, and there's probably a tipping point where if the billionaire class, or at the time, the royalty or whatever it was, the landowners had a certain percentage of the wealth. It's almost impossible, unless they decide to give it back, for the rest of the country to be able to create equality. We can't.
No.
And so the only thing we can do is tear it down.
It gets to that point.
It does get to that point.
In that context, you kind of grapple with it in your book too. It's happened across history as well, with multiple religions. Anytime like a society itself is starting to be controlled by like fundamentalism or authoritarian versions of any religion, things get bad. And then it kind of becomes easy for some leaders to definitely not be of that religion or be very spiritual, but say they are, and then get that people in a certain religion to vote, is where I'm headed with that. And I feel like you tackled how confusing and conflicting that has to be for people in that religion who are like, my faith means so much to me, but now like someone saying this is what my faith should look like, and that doesn't line up for me. So was that kind of coming from the conversations you guys were even having too?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I grew up in the evangelical world, deep in
Same.
the evangelical world, and
Mm-hmm.
that journey, I always was sort of questioning things and on the
Right.
fringe of that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I definitely left. I mean, I was working in churches until 2020.
Okay.
So not that long ago, I was still involved in churches, except for at that point, I was working in a far more progressive space.
Right.
And I still like, that's a wonderful church that I was working at.
Yeah.
But it was confusing to me because I'm in the South and
Right.
I grew up in a extremely Republican evangelical world, and
Same.
it is impossible to pull one out of the other.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Especially, I mean, not even especially now. It's always been like that in the
it's
South.
always been like that in the South, and now we're
Mm-hmm.
seeing that. And there are so many reasons why a political party would choose this breed of Christianity. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it it glorifies money.
Yes.
It glorifies wealth in a different way than
Yeah, that prosperity gospel.
yes. It also is very like a works based idea that you have to
Mm.
earn your way.
Yes.
And that if you're wealthy, then you're blessed by God.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're
Mm-hmm.
not, then and so that allows for scapegoating. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of bending of theology, and it's so crazy because it's like, have you read the Sermon on the Mountain? But like nobody cares.
Seriously. No. They're like, let's go to the Old Testament. I'm like, what?
Yeah. So I think basically this really I don't even want to use the word watered down. I want to say like bastardized version
Right.
of Christianity is used to justify
Yeah.
terrible, terrible things.
Mm-hmm.
And people have hid behind this and used it for war, used it for oppression,
Yep.
for probably since like 300 or 400 AD.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an old tradition
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
have of, I mean, using it for colonization,
Yep.
using it for slavery, using it for the oppression of women, um,
Mm-hmm.
because we are using poorly translated
Mm-hmm.
words to befit whatever the culture is that we want,
Yeah.
and to benefit us. And so what I think the Bible actually is not at all what it's being used for.
Right.
And it's real hard to fight that
Mm-hmm.
because they'll say it's sacred.
Yes.
And so, as somebody who went through that process of where do I land here? Because I'm
Mm-hmm.
down with Jesus, I'm down with
Yes.
Jesus, the Spirit. Um, but the rest of that stuff, I don't know what to do with. And that was my whole
Mm-hmm.
life, you know,
Right.
that was
Same.
my whole life. Um, a lot of my friends come from my time in church, so we've all gone
Mm-hmm.
through this journey together. And then now we're raising children, and we're like,
Yeah.
what do we teach them? Do we go to church? Uh,
Yeah.
so it's a constant question. And
Right.
I think that the thing that I thought was really interesting was how so many people that I know, and you might be one of these people, we have family members that are still deep in it.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like, okay, how do you engage in
Mm-hmm.
meaningful discourse and relationships with people who are still part of something that you see as oppressive or that
Correct.
you see as having a hand in actual harm for
Mm-hmm.
people? And so that's something that my husband and I and all of our friends have to deal with.
Yeah.
And there's no easy answer. And I think you see this in the Thanksgiving dinner with this family, um,
Mhm.
that sort of devolves into chaos. because you can pretend as much as you want to that we're just family and blood is thicker than water or whatever. But these things, this is not just my personal religion. This is a whole worldview that is now being used to frame absolutely every political decision that is made. And so it's really, really hard to not see that in the people that are using it, because it's not just like, sometimes you find out that people are like deeply spiritual and you had no idea because they just never
and it's like a welcome surprise.
In their house, they have like an altar and you're like, what?
Yes.
That's not how it is now.
I've been having the opposite experience. Like people I thought would never say some of the things they've said to me are saying things. And I'm like, I had a moment where I was freaking out a little bit because I was like, how did I not catch this? How did I not see this? Like, how did I not see this in this person? It was freaking me out so much. But thankfully reading helps me like kind of ground myself and understand things.
So I think, the thing that I think people like us, we need community, and we don't necessarily have the church anymore, but we still do have, a lot of us do have some version of connection with Jesus or with God. I call God source. We do have a true and genuine, because we are spirits. I believe we are spirits. So we feel connected to the beyond, and we just don't have community around that anymore. Maybe you can get it in a yoga class or, a different religious path. Might jive better with your current way of seeing the world. But a lot of us out here we're not really ex-Christians. We're just, the theology of the day and the way the church is working is not what we believe in anymore. And so we don't have each other anymore.
Right.
And so many of us are going through this experience where we still have, and in my practice, I have so many clients that come to me like this. And I think they're being brought to me intentionally. Like, I think that's my thing. And I know from my therapy partner, she gets a lot of clients like that too, where we have this faith that at times has meant so much to us. And it has been so valuable, and we can't throw it away, but we don't know what to do with it. And we're not getting a lot of guidance on how to move forward in this world with this faith that feels very true, but it looks very, very different than the people that we grew up with. And there's a bit of grief in that.
There is.
I think there's grief for Matt and Evie because they left the church. They lost a lot of friends. I think what's interesting is a lot of us too, it's easier for us to say, oh, wow, that was so disordered. Oh, wow, that was so fucked up, my childhood. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I don't know if I can.
No, you can.
Okay.
You can.
Like, I can't believe how bad and wrong they got it. But what about the love that was there? The real, genuine love that we felt sometimes. The real friendships, the real kindness that people had, and the good things that they were doing for their communities. You can't throw it away. You just, you can't go, oh, that was dumb. And so I think that's something that they're grappling with in the book. What do we do with these beautiful memories and these beautiful people that were part of our lives that are still right here in our community? But at this point, ideologically, we just can't be part of it anymore.
I know.
It's a huge question, and there's no answer, but I've never read anything that has that story in it. Most of the time I left my faith completely. But what if you're still sort of in it?
It's just an interpretation that isn't working for you.
And like, what if you're in that community still? You can't all like move to New York City. Like, we're
I
still
know.
here. And
Yes.
we're still
Yes.
going to all the family gatherings, and, we still
Hmm.
get invited to the church potluck, and we love all those people that are at that church that grew
Yeah.
up with us. What do we do, you know?
Yeah. And I agree.
Such a huge question.
Yeah, you were talking about the detention centers, and I mean, what are if we're not actually deporting them, then they are concentration camps,
Yeah,
is what it is.
absolutely.
And I live in Indiana, and we have lots of warehouses, and there's a big one in Speedway, and they're building the Speedway Slammer right now. So like we're about to have multiple of those in Indiana, and I feel the same way like you're saying, but I can't just move. I just can't up and move to a blue state right now.
Mhm.
And on the flip side, technically, I should like hope that I could make things better in Indiana. I don't know if I could stop a concentration camp,
Yeah,
but if there's something I could do, I would. But it's so complex where you're like, I'm living with people who like really don't care, don't value human
yeah.
life is what it feels like. And it's very complicated.
I mean, I will say that, um, living in a place like I live in Durham, um,
Mm-hmm.
which is a smaller city right next to Raleigh, which is the capital. Uh,
Yeah.
and Raleigh, even though it's 20 minutes away and not even
Mm-hmm.
um, it's a very different vibe. It's a very different atmosphere. It's not quite as blue. It's not
Mm.
quite as, and it's not necessarily red versus blue, but it
And
is a
just
mindset thing.
describe it. Yeah.
And since moving here, and again, I moved 20 minutes, my spirit feels so much better.
Oh, good.
Because this place is more creative and or whatever
Oh,
you want
good.
to say about Durham. And it's not that Raleigh's terrible, but like so many of us
Mm-hmm.
sort of stuck
Yeah.
places that our spirits are feeling the heaviness of it all the
Mm-hmm.
and in
Yes.
that way, I love social media and I love the global economy and or the global like shared experience
Mhm.
because we are able to, I really hope that somebody who's in that situation finds my book and goes, okay, I'm not the
Yeah.
only one experiencing this thing where we're
Yes.
trying to navigate these close family relationships that feel so heavy and so burdensome. And it's because
Mhm.
we still love these people.
Right. Right.
And so I know exactly what that's like. And to be in
Yep.
that environment all the time, I mean, energy is real. And so
Mhm.
we are feeling it collectively. And that I personally believe that is why so many autoimmune diseases are on the rise and so many people are having more anxiety that they need to treat with medication and
Oh,
depression.
yeah.
Um, Not all of that is just the brain chemistry you're born with. A lot of that
Right.
is we are
Circumstantial.
we are in fight and flight more often than we think we are because the energy
Mhm.
around us is so hard, so
Yeah.
stressful, and so oppressive. It
Mhm.
does feel like, what can I possibly do against
Right.
a concentration camp
Mhm.
moving in next door?
Yeah.
What can I do
You can
against
basically do the 5 calls app was
that?
like the kind of the thing you could do when that came up.
Yes. Yes. And like I think a lot of us are, with the Epstein files and like lots of
Yes.
things are coming to light and we're all just standing here sort of frozen going, okay, how do
Mhm.
we fight this?
Yeah.
How do we fight the people that give us our food and our water and make up our laws
Mhm.
and we have to pay our taxes too? Um, the balance of power is so
Mhm.
heavily weighed that it feels
Mhm.
like we can't do anything. And
Mhm.
I think that there are so many people who feel that kinetic angst of, I want to move,
Mhm.
I want to help, I want to do something.
Mhm.
And we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
There's no real easy answer here.
Mm-mm. Yeah, it's somewhat, I think writing books like what you did, I think that helps a lot of people. Because I mean, I was relating to it as well. So I try to think of the fact that even art is what is helpful
Yeah.
even in these times.
Mhm.
Because yeah, otherwise there are little things, and I will always be vocal about what I can be, but that's not always going to change anything either. Not immediately,
Yeah.
but being able to feel connected to other people who feel the same way helps remind us that like in community we can do some things,
Yes.
at least, I guess, is like a silver lining.
Yes.
I was trying to find one.
Well, and I think a lot about like the idea of, if you can imagine a beach that's just cluttered with trash, just absolutely full of trash, and you look at it and you go, there's no way I can clean this up. Okay,
Yeah.
probably not. But you can pick up a few things.
Yeah.
You can teach other people what the
Yep.
need is. And
Mm-hmm.
there are little things we can do. It's just much more local. And the
Yes.
problems that we're hearing about are global. And we
Yeah.
can't always address those problems, but we can
Mm-hmm.
do things for our neighbors. We can do things in
Mm-hmm.
our communities. And we know from measuring energy that
Mm-hmm.
that actually has a huge impact
Yes.
energetically. And can you imagine if all of us were out there loving on our neighbors, doing
Yep.
small things to show humanity, to teach each other
Yes.
that you belong here, we would be
Yes.
a lot more prepared for fighting the big battles together.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so maybe
Yeah.
this sort of community tending is
Mm-hmm.
one of the first steps towards actual real global change.
Mm-hmm. There is a, I'll just mention it, one of the books that helped me understand the different ways you can do things. There's a book called We Refuse by Kelly Carter Jackson. I think it's Jackson. But she's a historian, and it's all, she tackles like 5 different ways that Black people, especially Black women, have found to resist amongst,
Mm.
I mean, their oppression is significantly greater than anything I've
Mhm.
ever experienced. So it's really cool, and it highlights all of it, how even like in a certain context joy is part of the resistance. It's not the only thing,
Yes.
but it is part of it,
Yeah.
and you need that, and how being in community is what will still like make you feel that sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and
So it's very
at
important.
the end of the book, um, the tool that is
Mm-hmm.
given, while it does it, of course, I wrote it as sort of magical and big.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's love is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's not some like new world order, and it's not some big weapon, and it's not something.
Mm-mm.
It is truly the power of one-to-one human
Mm-hmm.
contact and care.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and that we're going to see as the series unfolds how
Yeah.
extremely powerful that is, because
Yeah.
what's cool about this is when I wrote it, um I hope that people don't I hope that people feel at the end, we already have this, we have
Yeah.
this already.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's not quite as like obvious, or you can see it as well as they can,
Mm-hmm.
or powerful,
Yeah.
but we already have love, we already have the power of energy, we already
Mm-hmm.
have connection, human connection,
Mm-hmm.
we already have all of the tools that we need to truly heal each other, and in that heal the whole world,
Yeah.
and really change things for the better.
Mm-hmm.
It just will take a global effort. And
Yeah.
that requires us getting out of the hamster wheel that so many of us are stuck in, the
Mm-hmm.
survival mode that we're stuck in.
Yes.
And it's not our fault,
Mm-mm.
but we have
But
to
it's
have
there.
community to land,
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise we're trying to pay all our bills on our own. We're trying to take care of our
Yes.
kids, and we're being nickeled and dimed every single day. And
Right.
unless we have community, we don't have a safety net to jump out of the hamster wheel.
Mm-mm.
So many of us are just stuck in it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
feels like that was an intentional design
Mm-hmm.
because we're wonderful consumers.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are. Unfortunately, that's kind of what I've talked about. This is the end game of glorifying capitalism.
Yes,
This is the end game of worshiping money, like,
absolutely.
and worshiping absolute power. Like that's how we got here. But this actually kind of is a really good segue to my next question is I thought it was very cool. Cool seems like, like such a small word to use for it, that that it's a woman, a mother, that's the title, who is receiving this
Mhm.
information, and thinks she could have the power to save the world,
Mhm.
essentially.
Yeah.
And we're so used to it being men,
Mhm.
especially, and she's not a messiah, but if we're talking about messiah adjacent stories, it tends to be men.
Mhm.
And this time it was women. And so obviously we've talked a little bit here about how matriarchy would be a lot nicer too. So was that kind of all, was that on purpose? Were you really wanting it to be that?
Yeah, well, and I mean, in the end, it gets passed to Emily, who's 11.
Right. Right.
And so it's and we see that we get the picture that there might be other girls that this has come through, but it came through women and only women. That
Yes.
and Matt has like one dream, um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really just to say, hey, you need to support Evie right now.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's not, he's not really given like a directive or information. It's just to help him be able to
Mm-hmm.
support her um,
Mm-hmm.
in totality. But yes, I genuinely believe that this is the age of the feminine energy, and that when
Mm-hmm.
you think about like the yin yang energy, you know, that symbol,
Mm-hmm.
we have been really imbalanced for a very long time in
Mm-hmm.
the masculine or like hot driving energy. And anytime there's an imbalance, becomes dysfunction. And
Right.
we have been in a masculine energetic dysfunction for hundreds of years, probably thousands,
Mm-hmm.
which is why we have seen this thirst for power,
Mm-hmm.
hoarding, hierarchy, um, and the feminine energy also has its own dysfunction
Mm-hmm.
if that's too heavy. So we need to find the balance. And
Mm-hmm.
I personally believe that many spiritual and energetic workers like myself are being called to channel this divine feminine energy or this divine Christ consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to call it, um, and that we are being tasked to balance the energy, because also we're seeing that it is affecting Mother Earth very
Right.
negatively, and she is letting us know. And so for me, there is nobody who can fix this except for women.
Mm-hmm.
It must come through us. Now,
Yeah.
can the divine feminine energy also come through men? Yes, it can.
Yeah.
Yes, it can.
Mm-hmm.
However, we are its natural channels.
Yeah.
um, because of the energy that we have naturally.
Yeah.
And so I it, I just think it was a no-brainer.
Mhm.
Of course it was going to be her. Of course it had to be.
Yeah.
And of course it had to be her daughters who then
Mhm.
carry this on. And Matt will always be an extremely important part of the story,
Mhm.
because men are extremely important in this next phase.
Yes.
We just have to get the roles right, and
Yeah.
we have to put our egos aside and
Right.
um, and learn how to work, use our energies, whatever our natural energies are, for the benefit of each other, not
Yeah.
self-seeking.
Right. Totally.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's the different, that's something that I still even struggle with, is alternating between both of those energies,
Yes.
especially because of what I grew up around was just so much about like produce,
Mhm.
make yourself better, like
Yeah.
you can go make tons of money if you go to college, like all of that. And so you're like in this doing, and never in the like resting, healing, receiving, like
Creative.
just none of it. I got none of that growing
Yeah.
up.
I mean, I think creating is or giving birth to art
Hmm.
and ideas is an extremely feminine process, but capitalism has married those two things together in our minds.
Hmm.
And so, especially now with the rise of social media, it is possible to have a platform for your art
Hmm.
in a way that maybe you couldn't before.
Yeah.
But what I hate to see is someone at first is flowing with this beautiful feminine energy, and they're creating and they're loving what they are
And
creating and they're having a
yep.
great time. And then the influence of the masculine and it really
Yes. Like vanity metrics
yeah,
and
it
yeah.
really muddies up the creative process.
Yes.
And when you are in flow, it is one of the most beautiful things
Mm-hmm.
that you can give to this earth,
Yeah.
actually, because what you're
Yeah.
doing is being a nice, pure, open channel for
Right.
this clear source energy that everybody can use.
Yes.
And when we aren't in balance, then what we're doing is we're putting a bunch of fear in there, a bunch of worry, a
Yes.
bunch of scarcity. Um, and so then it messes up the process, and
It
it really,
does.
for a lot of people, destroys the thing that they love.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to see people understanding that both of these energies are vitally important.
Mm-hmm.
They must be held in equilibrium,
Mm-hmm.
including as a culture. And we're
Yes.
just not quite there yet.
We aren't.
Mhm,
Not quite there.
mhm.
This is maybe kind of spoilery, but I don't think so. But at the end, there's something about like Matt feeling like hopefully I can continue this work.
Mm.
So my me trying to predict things, is the next one going to be called Father?
Well,
Or is it going to be more about that?
so I think we had thought I mean, I considered that. However,
Hmm.
when I was doing outlines of the story,
Hmm.
really the girls
Oh, okay.
that are
Good.
more in charge of this, um, the heart of the
The
story.
healing.
While
Yeah.
Matt may drive a lot of the action, it's the
Mm,
girls that are still continually bringing a new way for people to
right.
see things. And
Hmm.
so I had thought about that, but then I was like, I really want to continue to have the feminine be the wisdom here.
Yeah, I like that better.
And yeah, and so I have no idea.
Even though I thought I was cute and figured something
I know,
out.
I know. That does seem like the natural progression for sure.
Yeah, it was just because like the last few sentences were like that. I was like, I wonder if it's gonna be more about him. But
Yeah,
that
I mean,
makes
the
more
last
sense.
word of the book is father, so
Yeah.
it does seem like it would be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still just continuing to play
Yeah.
with those roles. And yeah, what does, when you're giving birth, right? And when you are
Mhm.
bringing something new into this world, what is the role of the father?
Yeah.
Well, what is the role of the masculine energy here?
Hmm.
And I hate for it to sound too um what's the word, like it's only masculine or it's only feminine, right? Like
Binary.
most of us,
Yeah.
we are supposed to have both,
Oh.
right?
Hmm.
um
Hmm.
and so it isn't necessarily so much duality in it.
Yeah.
But when we are talking about how can we use the masculine energy to support this feminine knowing, and
Mm-hmm.
feminine healing of this earth. And so I'm gonna continue making it a little girl heavy.
Good. I'm here for that too.
Yeah.
Well, I obviously enjoyed it, and I think if anyone enjoys we kind of talked about it, sci-fi or speculative fiction, but that also really does encompass trying to think about your spirituality and understand it. I think you will love this as entertainment and as like thought provoking. But at the end, I do always ask if there's anything you've read recently that you loved,
Mm.
or if there are any books that you just always recommend to people.
Well, I'm on this alien kick right now.
Yeah.
And part of it is, it's sort of a long story, but there's a guy in Fayetteville, which is not too far from here,
Mm,
and like 20 years ago he started seeing orbs, and in his
wow.
backyard he had this crazy experience, and he saw this figure, and he called her the lady or the mother, and
Oh,
he's like, is she an alien, is she not? And she's given him a lot of really cool instruction and things to
wow.
share. So I'm gonna run and go get the book. Hold on.
Yeah, go for it.
I can't find it, but it's called UFO of God, and it's by
Ooh.
Chris Bledsoe.
Okay.
And so I'm reading that right now. When I go to the gym, I usually just walk on the treadmill. And
Yeah.
So I always have a book. So I'm reading that right now.
Oh,
And
that sounds good.
also, and this is just for all creatives, I really love this book, Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert.
That is crazy because when you were saying connecting to source and getting the energy, I almost brought that book up
Yes.
where she talks about how like ideas are like, is it like dandelion?
Yes.
I think is her.
Yes.
Yeah. But like if the idea visits you and you don't like it, it moves on to the next, or you don't
Yes.
act on it, it moves to the next person.
Yes. I
Okay.
love
That's
that.
crazy. I almost mentioned it.
That's awesome. I love that so much because
Yeah.
it's almost like I should probably read it every 6 months.
Seriously.
Because it takes away the pressure that I feel if I have an idea and I just really can't do it.
Oh, that's a good point.
I'm like, okay, you need to assign that to someone else. I love
Yeah.
that idea. Can't wait to see where it comes through.
Yes. Just take it to somebody else.
It's probably not mine right now. Got a
Yeah.
big stack of things to do, but
Yes.
it also helps me to feel like we're all doing this together.
Yeah, I
It
agree.
doesn't always feel like a group assignment,
Mhm.
but it is a group assignment. And
Mhm.
so I've got my little assignments, and sometimes things come across my purview,
Mhm.
and sometimes I can say yes, and sometimes I can't.
Right.
But it helps me to know that we're all in this together,
Yeah.
and we're all creating art and channeling hope as
Mm.
a group. The things
Yes.
that we need are coming through us, and it's
Mhm.
not up to us to come up with exactly what that is,
Mhm.
just to be a clear channel.
Yep.
I always say that we are like a Keurig machine.
Mm.
So source is the water,
Yeah.
and we are the K-cups, and we all have a
Yes.
different flavor, but it's the
Yeah.
same stuff. It's the
I
same
love that.
ideas, it's the same thing. It's just we have a different flavor, a different way to express it. And there's
Yes.
always gonna be somebody who likes our flavor and
Mhm.
needs our flavor to help
Mhm.
understand and have their own access to source through us. And
Yes.
you could call source, you could call that creativity or fountain of all things.
Mhm.
And so we flavor it for people so that they can enjoy it better, they can
Yeah.
understand it better, it can connect to them in a different way
Yeah.
than just straight up hot water, right?
Mhm.
You know, I like
Yeah.
to think of myself as a nice dark roast coffee.
Yes. Yes. That's a great example, and I'm always looking for, like, I don't know if that's a metaphor or an anecdote. I think it's a metaphor,
I think it
but I'm always looking for those to because it's easier to talk about that in conversation
Mhm.
than to talk to some people who are like, "What do you mean source energy?"
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I
And
love finding
this
those.
is sort of a little bit of a left field, but if you haven't listened to the Telepathy Tapes podcast,
Ooh,
you must, everybody must listen to the Telepathy Tapes.
okay.
And why is because it is it's possible that we're making all of this up, right? Like all
Right.
of spirituality and all the things that we're talking about now, that it's just sort of a mechanism of our survival brain to give us
Mhm.
something to
Like
feel
meaning
connected
making.
to and have
Mhm.
meaning so that we don't kill ourselves when it gets hard, right?
Right.
So that's possible. And I always hold that as as a possibility. We can't know.
Right.
However, it does seem that so many more people are writing about sort of this magical thing, like big magic,
Mhm.
this shared consciousness that we're connected to each other and to things beyond in ways that we are
Mhm.
really just starting to get to understand.
Mhm.
The telepathy tapes is a wonderful, basically, study of that through nonverbal autistic kids and adults who have
Wow.
special gifts, and they are able to communicate through spelling the things that they are experiencing, and that's mirroring a lot of the things that science is showing us about what we called spirituality but might just be physics.
Wow, that is cool.
So
That is fascinating.
it's so
I
cool.
just followed the podcast, and I'll link it for everyone.
And it absolutely has informed a lot of my own views on spirituality, and which are absolutely represented in how I see the world
Mhm.
and in the book.
Totally.
Mhm.
Well, I'm excited. You just added to my list now.
Yay, you're gonna love it. It's gonna blow your mind. I will await your
Yeah.
email.
Yes, yes. Is there anywhere people can follow you to stay up to date?
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook. Just look up my author name.
Mhm.
You can find me on Instagram. That's my maiden name though, Andrea Mangum.
Mhm.
And you can find me on TikTok. And I think that's
Oh, nice.
also Andrea Butler. And my TikTok is a little bit of everything. It does have a
Yeah.
lot to do with my autoimmune, or not my autoimmune,
Oh,
my EDS. It's just my
I
life.
feel
It's
you.
all the things
Yeah.
about my life.
That's
Um,
I mean, you can't just post about your book all the time.
it's a lot about my anytime I have a new sort of spiritual idea
Okay.
come to me, usually in a session, I'll learn something from someone else.
Mm.
Um, then I'll share it on there. So it's a
Yeah.
mess of things.
I'm here for that. I mean, life is a mess of things. Well, thank you so much. I loved reading it. I loved talking about it with you, and hopefully a lot of people go read it and DM me or you to talk about it.
Yay, awesome. Yeah, it's on Amazon. And you also, I have a website, again,
Oh yeah.
just my author name.
Okay.
Pretty easy to find. And there'll be links to all that stuff too. But yeah,
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was a great conversation.
thank you, Kate. This was lovely.